Under a concrete bridge near Victoria Island, Sandra huddled against a pillar, her thin brown dress soaked through, bare feet numb on the cold ground. She was 19, alone, and had been for 3 years since her mother, Monica, lost her battle with a brain tumor. Miles away, Henry Adebayo eased back in the heated leather seat of his Mercedes, exhausted from another board meeting. As the car crawled through traffic, his driver navigated past the bridge. Henry glanced out the window and saw her, a small figure curled up, shivering violently. Something stirred in him, an ache he hadn't felt in years. He tapped the driver's shoulder, stopped the car. He stepped out with an umbrella, rain drumming on the nylon. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. The girl flinched, eyes wide with distrust. "People say things like that," she whispered. "Then they hurt you." "I won't," Henry promised. He removed his suit jacket and held it out. After a long pause, she took it, wrapping it around her trembling frame. Warmth seeped in, and for the first time in hours, she breathed easier. "I'm Henry," he said simply. No mention of his wealth, his companies, or the empty mansion waiting for him. "Sandra." The ride home was quiet. Sandra watched rain streak the windows while Henry stared ahead, trying not to think of the framed photo on his living room wall, a young woman in a blue dress beneath a jacaranda tree. Monica, the love he lost 2 decades ago when his parents forced him abroad after university, cutting all ties. When they arrived at the gated compound, staff hurried out in surprise. Inside the bright, marble-floored living room, Sandra stood dripping, taking in the opulence with wide eyes. Then she saw the photo. Her body went rigid. "Sir," she whispered, pointing. "Who is that?" Henry froze, keys still in hand. "Why do you ask?" Her voice trembled. "Because, ... She's my mother, Monica, my late mother." The glass in Henry's hand slipped, clattering on the table. "What did you say?" "She died 3 years ago," Sandra repeated, tears filling her eyes. "That's her." The room fell silent except for the rain on the roof. Earlier that evening, Henry hadn't planned to bring a stranger home, but something in Sandra's frightened eyes reminded him of Monica's, bright, resilient, even in pain. Now, staring at the photo, memories flooded back. University in Enugu, shared dreams, a promise ring, graduation, and then sudden separation. He'd searched for Monica when he returned to Nigeria years later, but found nothing. Life moved on to failed marriages, no children, endless work to fill the void. "Sandra," he said carefully, "sit down, tell me about her." Over hot tea and food, Sandra spoke. Monica had raised her alone, working multiple jobs while battling illness. She'd told Sandra about a university love who disappeared after graduation, ever knowing Monica was pregnant. Monica searched for him until the end, never bitter, only hopeful. Henry's chest tightened. The timeline fit. January after graduation, his last time with Monica. 9 months later, November. Sandra's birthday was November 25th. "I believe you," he said finally, "but to be certain, we'll do a DNA test tomorrow." Sandra nodded, hope flickering in her eyes. "Thank you." He arranged a guest room near the photo, as she requested. That night, Henry couldn't sleep. He opened the velvet ring box on his shelf, an engagement ring meant for Monica, never given. His phone buzzed. The gate guard. "Sir, a woman is here. She says she knows the name on that old picture. Monica. She insists it's urgent." Henry's heart raced. "Let her in." But before the woman arrived, soft footsteps padded down the stairs. Sandra appeared in borrowed pajamas, eyes red. "I couldn't sleep. I heard someone ... Who is it?" "Stay close," Henry said protectively. In the living room, the door opened. An older woman entered, soaked, carrying a nylon bag. Auntie Grace, Monica's university friend. Her eyes locked on Sandra. "You look just like her." She explained everything. Monica's pregnancy, the futile search for the father, the tumor, raising Sandra alone. Then, the birth. "Twins," Auntie Grace said quietly. Monica had twins. Henry staggered. Sandra gasped. But when she awoke after delivery, Grace continued. "Only one baby was there. You, Sandra. The other ... vanished. Nurses said it was moved to another ward." Monica never believed it. Later, a sympathetic nurse confessed, a wealthy couple paid to take the boy, to erase any tie that might bring the father back. Henry's world shattered. His parents, strict ambitious, had blocked Monica's attempts to reach him. Had they gone further, stolen his son? Grace handed Sandra an envelope. "From your mother." But before Sandra could open it, another knock thundered. "The guard." "Sir," a young man at the gate. "Says he's a relative of Monica." Henry opened the door. A drenched young man stood there, flanked by guards. He looked strikingly like Sandra, same eyes, same features. "Sandra," he whispered, stunned. She nearly collapsed. Samuel, the missing twin. He'd grown up with a couple who claimed they found him. Later, discovering Monica's hospital bracelet hidden away, he searched. Hearing of a girl resembling him seen under the bridge, he rushed there too late. But word reached him of Henry's mansion. When shown a photo of Henry's late parents, Sam confirmed, "That's them, the wealthy couple who paid." Henry dropped the frame, glass shattering like his illusions. His parents had stolen his son, lied to everyone, destroyed lives for their vision of his future. The reunion was tearful siblings embracing after 19 years, father overwhelmed. Monica's letter, read aloud, urged forgiveness and love, but peace was brief. The couple who raised Sam arrived in a black van, demanding compensation for their investment. Confronted with the truth and threats of legal action, they retreated, but not without menace. In the months that followed, Henry pursued justice quietly. The couple faced charges for their role in the abduction. Evidence from hospital records, uncovered by lawyers, sealed it. Rainwater dripped slowly from Sandra's hair onto the cold marble floor of the bright living room. Her tattered brown gown clung tightly to her thin, shivering body, soaking through with the relentless rain. She lifted her right hand and pointed carefully at a large framed photograph on the wall. "Sir, who is this?" she whispered quietly, her voice breaking as she looked at the picture. Henry froze immediately, having just placed his car keys on the nearby polished table. His eyes followed her trembling finger toward the image of a young woman with calm eyes. Monica wore a blue dress, standing beneath a blossoming jacaranda tree, her smile serene and peaceful. For years, that picture had reminded Henry of a promise he had foolishly never fulfilled. "Why are you asking?" Henry's voice was low, thick with surprise and restrained emotion. Sandra's lips quivered violently, tears forming as she whispered the truth to the stunned man. Because she is my mother. My late mother." Her voice trembled through the quiet room. The glass Henry was holding slipped and fell, hitting the table with a dull, echoing sound. "What did you say?" Henry asked, his voice cracking slightly, disbelief evident in his expression. "My mother," Sandra repeated again, her eyes now filling completely with tears that threatened to fall. Her name was Monica, and suddenly the room fell utterly silent, heavy with shared grief. So quiet, Henry could hear the rain pattering gently against the roof and marble tiles. Earlier that evening, the city streets had been wet and grey, crawling with slow traffic. Under the bridge, shadows gathered like cold hands, and Henry saw a girl curled up. Her head rested on her knees, shaking violently, hair wet and scattered across her face. He was returning from Victoria Island after a long, exhausting day in the office. His driver had the heater on, the windshield wipers making a soft, rhythmic beat. The sight under the bridge made Henry tap his driver on the shoulder suddenly. "Stop," he ordered gently, stepping out into the rain with his umbrella open above him. "Hello," he said softly, lowering his voice. Are you okay out here?" The girl flinched instinctively, pressing herself tightly against the damp concrete pillar for support. Her hair was soaked through, clinging to her face like a wet curtain of darkness. "You look very cold," Henry said carefully. "I won't hurt you, I promise. I'm here." Her eyes lifted briefly, wide and fearful, before dropping again, distrust evident in her stare. "People always say that," she whispered, her voice soft. "Then they change. They always do." "I won't," Henry replied quietly, offering his jacket carefully, holding it out to her. The girl stared at the jacket for a long, hesitant moment before slowly reaching forward. Her small fingers shook as she took it and put it over her shoulders. Warmth spread immediately, easing her shivering slightly, and she exhaled a relieved, trembling breath. "What's your name?" Henry asked, keeping his tone gentle and non-threatening as he spoke. "Sandra," she murmured quietly. "I'm Henry," he replied, omitting his billionaire status deliberately, preferring quiet. The rain beat harder against the streets, a danfo splashing water near their cold feet. Somewhere, a street hawker shouted, selling meat pies to passing cars. barely noticed by them. Henry glanced down at her bare feet, red and sore from the cold, wet pavement. "It hurts to see you like this," he said softly. "Come, let's get you dry. You can eat, you can rest, and no one will bother you here at all." Sandra hesitated, eyes searching his face carefully, looking for any sign of untruth or harm. Henry's gaze remained steady, calm, like a man used to giving and keeping promises. She nodded silently, trusting him, and they walked together toward the waiting car in the rain. The drive remained quiet, the driver turning up the heat to ease her chilled body. Sandra watched the water racing down the window, lost in thought as the city passed. Henry focused on the road, trying not to dwell on the photograph in his living room. He had 2 failed marriages behind him, no children, a heart too busy to feel. Some nights, that emptiness won, filling him with a dull ache he could not ignore. They passed toll lights, bright billboards, and the endless city streets illuminated by neon. When they arrived at his compound, the tall black gates opened like a slow breath. Staff hurried to the door, astonished to see their boss carrying a drenched, shivering girl. Inside, warmth enveloped them. Cream walls, soft rugs, the faint scent of lemon polish. Henry helped Sandra stand in the living room, her eyes taking in the grand surroundings. "Your own parents gave him to us to raise. We spent money, fed him, paid his school fees. We deserve something in return for all our trouble." Sandra felt her stomach twist into a painful knot. Auntie Grace stepped forward, voice sharp with suspicion. "Your precious Monica couldn't pay hospital bills. Remember, that wealthy couple," he nodded at Henry, "paid us. They told us to take the boy and keep quiet." Something raw and unbreakable rang in Henry's tone. He stepped forward until they stood nose to nose. "You stole 19 years from me, from them, and you think you'll take another single second?" The man swallowed hard, confidence starting to crack. "You will not take him," Henry whispered fiercely. "You will not threaten him on my property. You will not talk money when you stole a life." The man glared, but his voice wavered. "We will return with police," he hissed. Sandra stepped forward, fire rising in her chest. "No, you'll return with apologies when truth comes out," Auntie Grace added sharply, eyes flashing with anger. "If you go to police, they'll check records, hospital birth, payment trail, names, everything will show. You'll answer for your part in kidnapping a newborn." The man froze, face pulling in the dim light. Henry crossed his arms, stand steady and tall. "Leave now and never come back here." For a moment the man looked ready to fight. Then 2 more guards stepped silently beside Henry. The man raised his hands slowly in surrender. "This isn't over," he hissed through clenched teeth. "Good," Henry replied calmly, "because I have lawyers now, and police on speed dial if you return." The man backed away. His group retreated fast. The van reversed violently, tires screeching into the night. Silence settled heavy, like quiet after a fierce storm. Guards secured the gate with careful, quiet movements. The twins and Auntie Grace followed Henry inside. Sandra collapsed onto the couch, body trembling hard. Sam sat beside her and pulled her close. "I'm here now," he whispered softly. "I'm not leaving again, I promise you." Sandra cried into his shoulder, tears soaking his shirt. Henry watched them, chest full, eyes soft with love. "My children," he whispered like a quiet prayer. He sat in front of them on the rug. "What those people said about money and ownership, none of that is your fault, never was. You were children, victims of their greed. From this moment, neither of you will live in fear." Sam nodded slowly, still holding Sandra tight. Sandra wiped her tears with shaky fingers. Auntie Grace handed Sandra the envelope again. "The letter," she said softly, "from Monica." Sandra stared at it, fingers trembling with emotion. Henry whispered, "Read it, my dear, we need her voice." With shaking hands, Sandra opened the worn envelope. Her mother's handwriting flowed across the faded page. Sandra began reading aloud, voice breaking often. "My sweet children, if you are reading this, it means my time on earth has passed. But I want you to know one thing first. You were loved, both of you, from the start. From the first breath I took with you. I never hated your father. I believed he'd come. I believed one day you'd find each other. And if that day has come, hold each other close. Don't let anger guide you through life. Let love rewrite your story where pain tried to erase it. Your mother, Monica." By the time Sandra finished, tears filled every eye. Henry covered his face, shoulders shaking with sobs. Sam held Sandra tighter than ever before. Auntie Grace whispered a soft, heartfelt prayer. Sandra folded the letter close to her heart. "Mama, we found each other," she said quietly. "We did it, just like you hoped." Henry took both twins' hands in his own. "From today, you are my priority, my family, my beginning again after so many lost years." Sam smiled through tears, eyes shining bright. Sandra nodded, voice small but growing sure. "We're not broken anymore, not anymore."